What's up, YouTube? Okay, so for today's video, we're going to talk about a couple different things. In a video some other time, I'll talk about how when I'm building FPV drones and doing all this fun stuff, I tend to want to find, I guess, a single brand or manufacturer and kind of stick with their stuff. And I've gone through a couple different brands and manufacturers kind of in that way. And again, that's a story for a different video. But that search and kind of that want led me to Axis Flying not too long ago and a purchase of the C35 that they've got, which is a 3.5-inch Cinewhoop. I wanted something that could handle the GoPro, but still have kind of enough power to get things done that I wanted it to get done, keeping up with motorcycles if I needed them to, and also be cool for maneuvering in smaller spaces and indoors. So that's what really started kind of pushing my attention towards Axis Flying. And as I was thinking about the C35 and the job I wanted it to do, I started thinking about our friend the Avata and how I kind of wish the Avata could do the job that the C35 can. And I think what's true is that there's not really enough power or punch a lot of times for it, especially if you try to stick a GoPro on it. So kind of disappointing. And I'm not of the frame of mind that I can just use the onboard camera for video output for projects. It's just, I want to have my goggles camera set so I can get the best view for flying, and I want to have my camera that I'm using for recording things to be set to get the best for recording. And I'm not willing to compromise kind of my flight view or my camera view, vice versa. So this has never been a really good tool for me to get any real footage because it can't handle that external camera. Interestingly enough, Axis Flying has come up with maybe a solution to get the power, sort of this merged into the brains of the Avata. I mean, the intelligent battery, the ability to position hold, some of those cool things that you really get with the Avata, minus remote ID. Axis Flying has come up with a kit, which is an Avata 3.5-inch upgrade kit. So what you end up doing with that is you basically replace the entire drivetrain, is that what we're going to call that? Propulsion system. So we'll replace this entire bottom section here for the bigger props. We're going to put bigger motors on it. Even this frame subsection here that holds the motors is going to have to come out and be replaced with something that can push the motors further apart. So we'll look at the kit in a little more detail in a minute, but that's the plan. The brains of an Avata with the brawn of something that's more custom built, which I really think will be kind of the best of both worlds. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous tearing everything down and putting it back together, but it's not my first rodeo. I think we'll just be careful and have a good time. So let's keep going. Okay, let's take a closer look at what's in the kit itself. So the first thing we can see when we open the box up are the 4 motors. So these are the C157-2 motors. There is a motor upgrade that they make for the Avata right now, which is the C157. All it does is upgrade the motors. It doesn't upgrade the size and do the rest of the things that this kit is going to do. So pay attention to that if you want to do some of this upgrade. If you're going to do the upgrade kit, get the -2s. If you just want to upgrade the motors and keep the Avata stock the other way, just do 157s without the -2. If we take a look at these motors, you can see they're not what anybody would call like super big. So I think, in the end, trying to compare this to the C35 that we looked at earlier just isn't a fair comparison. I'm assuming it's going to be better than the stock Avata, hopefully. But I think I need to manage my expectations just a tiny bit. So there's that. Now let's look at what else we have. So the upgrade Avata 3.5 frame kit. Let's see what kind of goodies we have in here. First thing we see is the prop. So they're 4-bladed props instead of the 5-bladed that we're used to seeing on the Avata. For a size comparison, yeah, I think we're like a 1/2 inch bigger or so. So again, managing the expectations compared to that C35. Anyway, keep going in. Center plate with some hardware, new carbon fiber piece there, some electronics, well, wires, sorry, not really electronics. This will be the top part of the frame kit that goes over the battery that holds a GoPro, kind of the whole reason we're doing this. Some other pieces here. Here we've got what'll be the new prop guards to go with the Avata. I think, again, we can see a fairly decent size difference there for comparison. So ought to be interesting. All right, and then finally what we have is kind of the main subframe replacement to get those motors a little further out from center so we can handle those bigger prop pieces. It's actually a really interestingly machined carbon piece. Not the simplest thing. So we've got that. Bottom plate, some standoffs, I think, for the GoPro. And then finally, their instructions. You can see these on their website as well if you're interested in taking a look at what it's going to take. So overall, nothing too complex, just a disassembly and then reassembly with the new parts. Hopefully it won't be too bad. And I'm looking forward to it. So that's what comes into the kit. And we'll go ahead and clean this up, get everything ready to go, and start tearing the Avata down. All right. As I was packing all of that back up into the box to get ready to provide the space to tear the Avata apart or to start that process, it really kind of comes into mind, like, is this worth it? Am I going to get what I want out of this? Again, the goals are being able to have some of the smart flight pieces of the Avata, but have it be able to carry that Hero 11 Mini and maintain a level of performance that makes sense. Those motor sizes, I'm not going to be able to compare it to the C35, but hopefully I can make it better than what we've got today. So stay tuned. Like I've said a couple times on this channel, one of the things I hope to give you is don't make the same mistakes I do, because sometimes I run in a little head fast on some of these things. I think it's going to be a really cool upgrade regardless. I think it's pretty amazing that Axis Flying took the time to create a whole kit and be able to kind of tear apart a DJI drone and build it back up, hopefully make it better. So anyway, let's keep that in mind as we go through this video and get to the end when we test fly it and see what's up. Hopefully it's better. All right, let's get this thing apart. Here's a fun little secret. This is the 3rd time I've recorded this. Learn something new every day. It's been about 6 weeks since you last saw me in this spot. We were talking about the Avata 3.5 upgrade. The last time you saw the Avata, it was all-in-one DJI piece, and now it is in a DJI and Axis Avata piece. Still one piece now, though. So let's talk about this upgrade. Originally, what I was going to do was show you the teardown, show you the build-up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Life got in the way. This thing is a complex build. The instructions are trash. The way that I ended up having to do it was Axis Flying put out a video where they show someone tearing it down and building it back up, and I just watched that at various speeds multiple times while I did this in order to make sure I was doing what needed to be done. There are 2 different ways to do this that deal with how crazy you get around the flight controller and how far apart you take it apart. That makes sense. So as you're doing this, you can take it all the way apart and do direct soldering onto the pads of the flight controller for the motors and the extension that you have to do for the power. You have to extend that a little bit to get it to work with this new frame. So you can do that either by direct soldering onto the flight controller itself, or you can leave those wires intact and those stock solder joints intact, cut the wires and solder onto those, which is what I did, which makes for maybe a little bit less clean look. I mean, I probably would have secured these wires across these braces with tape anyway, but now they're covering solder joints. So there's that. But this is not for the faint of heart. You take this all the way down. Like here's the plate from DJI, the subframe for the Avata. You take this all the way apart. It's pretty incredible, which is fun if you're into that kind of thing. It's fun to see like how this went together. So yeah, it was tough. It took I broke it apart across multiple days because I just didn't have time to sit down and do it all in one piece. And it was interesting. Some things to note about it are the USB-C that you've got here now is really the only way to get the files off of it. The way that these prop guards fit in place, hard to see, but you cannot get the SD card out now. I got lucky that I left the SD card in the flight controller little package down there when I was putting this together, because had I put it all together and then tried to put the SD card in it, I would have figured out I had to take it apart to do it again. So that sucks. But they did give you this neat little extension for the USB-C plug, so you have that there. So to transfer files, you just do the USB-C plug and you're good to go. So that's that. Anything else notable about this from a hardware perspective? Not really. Battery plugs in same way it did before. I think it's a little more snug than it used to be, but it's fine. So yeah, got it built, went out, did the first test flight in my driveway. You know, nothing big. Made sure it wasn't gonna go nuts on me, and then took it out the next day for a real flight to compare it head to head with the C-35. All right, so let's talk about how these fly. This is the way this aircraft should have flown from DJI. A lot more agile, feels better on the sticks, feels more controllable, feels like it has more power. Definitely, this flies like it should. In manual. In sport, in normal, it's a little weird. And it's really interesting how the throttle changes between sport, when you're in sport and normal versus manual. Because it's like when you put it in the manual, the thing goes into turbo. It just flies really well. Flies like you would expect a decent Cinewhoop to fly. Compared directly to the C-35, it feels a lot like the same aircraft. So yeah, it just flies really well. Recommend how it flies. Good to go. Let's do that. Talking about battery life. The battery life on the Avata definitely takes a hit with this upgrade. With the Hero 11 on it, you're looking at about 7 minutes before you get the little warning. I think I have mine set at 25% or 20%. And then on the C-35 with a, what do I have? A 1050 battery, and the Hero 11 Mini on it, about 5.5 minutes. So the Avata has about a 2-minute advantage on the C-35 that way. So there's that. I was really worried about the performance because the motors on the Avata are much smaller than the C-35. It wasn't that noticeable. It was a little noticeable, but it wasn't that noticeable. And it really just seemed to carry the load pretty well. And the motors weren't that hot at all when I stopped, even after carrying the Hero 11. So all in all, great little performance piece. Flies better than stock, for sure. But is it worth it? Is it worth the upgrade? And I'm just going to say no, it's not. If I had to do it again, I'd probably just sell the Avata and buy the C-35. It was a fun little project to do. Interesting to take everything apart, put it back together, all that fun stuff. So from a tinkerer perspective, it was interesting, but definitely not worth it. Too many risks. In the end, it's still an Avata. The C-35 still flies a little better. There's serviceability of the Axis flying pieces that you just don't have with the Avata. So yeah, it was fun-ish. The result is nice. I don't mind it. It flies, like I said, it flies well. It flies better than a stock Avata. But if I didn't have either one of these, I would just buy the C35. If I already had an Avata, what I would probably do, as I said, is I just sell the Avata and then buy the C35. Because then you don't have to worry about the remote ID crap that I had to worry about on my test flight because I forgot my cable for my goggles. So I couldn't launch the Avata. So there's that part too. So that's it. It was an interesting project. I like the way it flies. I'm keeping it. I'll definitely keep it in my arsenal to fly and do fun stuff with. But probably not worth it unless you just like taking shit apart and putting it back together because that part was fun. All right, y'all. Last video in this office. We're gonna move to a new one and get some more stuff going. Sorry you didn't get to see the teardown and build up. You really didn't miss much. So that's cool. And it kept this video like way shorter. All right, guys. Until next time, keep flying. I just have to say this video has been one of the biggest shit shows to film. I can't even tell you what's going on through this, but it's on YouTube now, so it's fine. Ugh. I just do this for fun.